Hey, this is Kenny from Kenny's Audiophile Record Reviews. Thank you very much for viewing my channel. Please like and subscribe. I really appreciate that. That really helped me out. In this video, I'm going to show you a very small amount of the books I have that are related to music that I can show you an album cover for. That's what I thought I would restrict it to. I can show you many more, but I thought I'd limit it to about approximately 30 or so. Now, these are not necessarily book recommendations. I just want to show you the books in my small amount of music books in my book collection. As you know, I'm an audiophile and I love albums, records, and CDs and digital music. But like I said, I thought I'd show you some books, music-related books in my, book collection. I have a very good size book collection. Most of them, the majority of them, probably 98% of them, I keep them in my garage or on shelves or neatly in storage bins because they're just too much to keep in my music room. But I've been in the books and reading probably since I was in, the 7th grade or 6th grade, somewhere around that time. So over through the years, you accumulate a lot of books, and I have books on sports figures, biographies and autobiographies, politicians, astronauts, books on history, books on, I don't know, everything from slot cars to baseball cards. I have a wide interest. So like I said, this is a small cross section of some of the books. Like I said, this was not to be a book review of any of these books because 30 is too much to individually do a book review of each book in one video. So I'm just going to show you the books I have in my book collection, just to do something different, show you a different part of me. And I try to go through them, at a good pace to get through these 30 books or so. And but before I get to ones where I'm going to show you the album covers first, I'm going to show you a few that I'm not going to show you album covers first. And one is this book on Phil Spector. It's a shame he got in trouble late in his life, but it's a cool book on Phil Spector. And oh, by the way, like I said, this was not to be I'm not going to get any book reviews, but before you consider these books or consider buying these books, I would go to Amazon or a site like that, look at the reader reviews and see what they say about the books before you purchase them, or maybe some other sites that have reviews on books. I would go there first, these sites, look at the reader reviews, and then consider buying them. Because just because I like them or somebody else likes these books doesn't necessarily mean you're going to like them. Books are like movies. Just because I like a movie doesn't mean you're going to like a movie. Another book is Soulville, USA. The book on Stax Records. And another one before I show you the main books I like to show you, the biographies and autobiographies that I'm about to show you, is a book called The Label on the Columbia Records. Now let me get to the books I'm going to show you covers for, and I'll start with the Beatles. Now I probably have at least 15-20 books on the Beatles alone, and I'm just going to show you a couple of books, not all of them. Most of you probably have this book, the recording sessions book. I'm sure a lot of you out there have this book. This is a cool book to have. And another one is, which is similar to recording sessions book, is the Beatles Chronicle book, complete Beatles Chronicle book. Now the rest of them, like I said, I'll try and go through them hopefully at a good pace. The first one is, this is a Laura Nyro record, but on the back is Patti LaBelle in the center. And here's a pretty cool book about Patti LaBelle, her autobiography pretty much. Bill Evans, the amazing American piano player, one of the best piano players of all time. How My Heart Sings, book on Bill Evans. Jimi Hendrix Experience record. Jimi Hendrix setting the record straight. I think I've had this book for a long time. I think I was, when my son was being born, it was a long process, and I think I had this book with me in the hospital the day my son was born. It shows how long I had this one. Here's a book, The Group Love. The great group led by Arthur Lee. This is a book by the band's drummer. Behind the scenes on the Pegasus Carousel with the legendary rock group Love. This is a book by the band's drummer. Sting. Fabulous performer. Book called Broken Music by Sting. Andy Williams, one of the greatest voices you can ever hear from any generation. Moon, River, and Me, Andy Williams. Etta James, fabulous soul R&B singer. The Rolling Stones, December Children. When I got this out of my shelf, I didn't realize that it's in mono. And I just got a mono cartridge a few weeks ago. So I'm definitely going to play this real soon. And I have a book by Keith Richards called Life. The Supremes. I think it's the best female group of all time. There's a group by Mary Wilson of the Supremes called Dream Girl. Herbie Hancock. This is his fabulous Maiden Voyage album. And this book goes in really good detail on his life and some of the recording sessions and Miles Davis, and it is a really good read. It's one of my favorite books ever, actually. Because of the detail he goes into. It's a biography on Stan Getz. I think this is a greatest Stan Getz album ever called Focus. And this is a biography of Stan Getz. And this does go into really good details as well. I love this book. Stan Getz. Yeah, if you need to check out the details of the, the authors or whatever thing, just pause the video, maybe do a screenshot of the records I'm holding up. Brother John Coltrane. This is one book called A Love Supreme, the creation of the classic album by Ashley Kahn. I believe Ashley Kahn has done some great books. I think he did one on Kind of Blue that I gotta pick up, I believe. Ashley Kahn. Here's another one. It's not on John Coltrane, but it's called The House That Train Built, about Impulse Jazz Records. Roy Orbison, one of the greatest, purest voices you can ever hear, in my opinion. He can hit some notes that you just can't believe. Dark Side, the Roy Orbison story. This was probably my favorite band in high school. Excuse me. Parliament Funkadelic. Brother George Clinton. This was the album as far as I'm concerned. I love this album while I was in high school. That band would be always near and dear to my heart. But here's a book by George Clinton. I'm cheating a little bit because I'm including a couple of TV shows next. But this is The Man from U.N.C.L.E., that iconic mid-60s TV show. I think it ran at least 4 seasons. And it was just a marvelous TV show. Especially the first season, the second season, and the last season. There's a book on The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Behind the scenes story of a television classic. The next one, oh, by the way, a lot of people don't realize that there was another television show. I'm just showing you as an aside. There was a TV show called The Girl from U.N.C.L.E. that only lasted 1 season. It would star Stephanie Powers, if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. Leonard Nimoy, the star of one of the stars of Star Trek. Leonard Nimoy, I Am Spock, is the name of the book. Another television show, and then I'll get back to music artists. One of the best television shows ever made, and they make currently great movies as well, is Mission Impossible, one of the greatest TV themes of all time. And the book on Mission Impossible. Eric Clapton, one of the greatest guitar players of all time, for sure, no doubt. Him and Jimi Hendrix. Much greatest of all time, Eric Clapton, the autobiography. One of the greatest jazz singers of all time, Sister Billie Holiday. What a great jazz singer she was. And this is Billie Holiday. Lady Sings the Blues. Chet Baker, great trumpet player and singer, a dual threat. Deep in a Dream, The Long Night of Chet Baker is the name of the book. There's a movie on Chet Baker that's actually pretty good. It's called Let's Get Lost, and that's one of my favorite, documentary or movies about a jazz musician. It's called Let's Get Lost. Great book, and great movie about Chet Baker. I really enjoyed watching that movie, by the way. Miles Davis, his Bitches Brew album, one of the greatest albums ever made as far as I'm concerned. This is this is probably my favorite book of all time. Miles Davis, his autobiography. Yeah, I think this is probably my favorite book ever, because I just love Miles Davis so much. Here's another book on Miles Davis. It's About That Time, Miles Davis, On and Off the Record. Like I said, before you consider buying these books, please do your research. Look up, read reviews on Amazon and other sites, and determine if you want to buy them. Determine if they're for you, because they're not for everybody. Here's another book on Miles Davis as well, the definitive biography. Carole King, her famous Tapestry album, one of the greatest albums ever made. Song It's Too Late, one of the greatest songs ever made. This is her memoir. It's called A Natural Woman by Carole King. Quincy Jones, Q. produced many records over the years. Greatest producers of all time. Quincy Jones, Autobiography. This is a group, Jefferson Airplane. It features a beautiful Grace Slick. This Grace Slick, Somebody to Love, a rock and roll memoir. Sarah Vaughan, one of the greatest jazz singers of all time for sure. What a fabulous voice. And this is The Life of Sarah Vaughan, is the name of the book. The Doors, great rock bands of all time, no doubt about it. Riders of the Storm, John Dinsmore. My Life with Jim Morrison and the Doors. And oh, by the way, if you have some book recommendations, please leave them in the comment section below. It'd be pretty cool. Paul Horn, he's done some interesting albums. I think recorded at very exotic locations. But this is his book, Paul Horn, The Spiritual Odyssey of a Universal Traveler, Paul Horn. Thelonious Monk. I'm going to have to listen to this album like this week, for sure. This is Crisscross album. This is a original 2i Columbia pressing of the record. And a book on Thelonious Monk, The Life and Times of an American Original. And I believe the last one, again, one of the greatest jazz singers of all time, Ella Fitzgerald. Like I said, I'm going to have to listen to this one on my new mono cartridge also. And the last book is Ella Fitzgerald, a biography of the First Lady of Jazz. And now this is not part of the music, my musical book collection. I just love this TV show so much, The Avengers. One of my passions is vintage 60s TV shows. I'm into those. I have many books on you know, some of those shows, but that era was one of the greatest TV eras of all time. So I have several books on some of the shows I love to watch. But like I said, do your research before consider purchasing any of these books, because they may or may not be for you. Please read other reader reviews on sites like Amazon or other book sites to determine if they're worth purchasing for you. Because just because I have them and may like them does not necessarily mean you will. But please leave some of the books recommendations that you have in the comment section below. I think I have another. Oh, this book right here. This book I wanted, and it wasn't available for some time. I think a couple of years ago is when I got it. It was out of print, and then it came back in print. And I told my wife I wanted this book, and I described it to her, but you know, I didn't buy it for a while. And then one Christmas morning a couple of years ago, this was under the tree wrapped. And it's like a coffee table book that includes pictures on, you know, hi-fi equipment and stuff. Just a cool book to have. This is a recommended book for sure. But those are just a small sample size of the books that I have. Like I said, I have many books on, you know, sports figures. Sports is my main passion, not music. You know, astronauts, politicians. I used to collect baseball cards. I have books on baseball cards. You know, slot cars. All kinds of different topics. I have a small library in my garage. It's just fun to read. Like I said, I've been into it since I was in the 7th grade. But like I said, please leave your book recommendations in the comment section below. Thank you very much for viewing my video. God bless, strong love, and strong peace to all worldwide.